Hello and welcome back. This is Tron from Homegrown Audio. This is simple sound design with Serum. We're going to make a snare and various hi-hats and percussions, and hopefully this will help you out. So please like and subscribe. It will help a lot to build this new channel, and let's get this party started. First of all, let's open up Serum. We have a pretty simple kick and bass here that we did last time. If you want to see more on how to make a kick and bass, click on this tab right here. So we're going to make a snare. Here we have a new instance of Serum, so let's turn off the oscillator and turn on the noise oscillator here on the left. Let's select the noise. I like to try also different noises for design. They all have their own characteristics. So let's get the attack on the amp envelope all the way down. Let's try and get... Designing your own drums, really, it's all about your taste. Select the pitch that you would like. So let's try this filter. High pass, maybe 24 dB per octave. Zero resonance. Also depends on your taste. Attack down and assign envelope 2 to filter cutoff. Notice I'm inverting the polarity on this filter. I like to assign envelope 2 to filter cutoff to get more of a smack. Now let's try a few different effects. Maybe a little bit of distortion and reverb. So this is quite good, but in order to have very tight snare, I like to use a gate on it just to get the end of it right. So you can do this in audio. I like to do it on a gate. Now let's bounce this snare to audio and see the timing. So you see how the envelope is not tight enough, or at least not as tight as I'd like it. Let's just chop this start of the envelope and see how it sounds. Can't really feel the difference or hear it too much, but the faster your BPM goes, the tighter your snare needs to be, and that goes for all the instruments. Okay, so let's get this audio snare looped. So I'm going to delete a little bit more of that fade. Sounds better. Now I've done another snare just like this one, and I'm gonna start playing with the rhythm. I'm gonna reverse some, I'm gonna affect some stuff, and I'm gonna start making the rhythmic section with this snare, just to get a little bit of an accent, like of a rhythmic accent, apart from the big down snare on the 2 and 4. Making some variations in between. Try to keep going with the accents that you define. This way, your rhythmic is going to be way clearer and your track will have much more impact. Now we have a little rhythmic loop, and we can use a filter or whatever. Here I'm also adding a little bit of send automation, one delay and one reverb. Open up another Serum. Now let's try to make a few more percussions and hi-hats. We started with the snare and all the rhythmic section. Now let's follow by doing the 16th hat, or the chick 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 chick. Turn off the oscillator and again turn on the noise oscillator. We want the amp envelope pretty sharp. Attack all the way down. Maybe a little bit of sustain, but we'll check it out later. Add some notes in 16th. Adjust the length of your notes to your liking. Now I'm gonna add velocity to noise oscillator level. And let's select the noise that we want for the hi-hat. Bright white is pretty nice. I'll just copy my MIDI pattern and see how it sounds. Now let's turn on the filter, route the noise oscillator to it with this button. Let's try low cut. Assign envelope 2 to filter cutoff. So you see how this little hat is kind of getting more into shape. It still has too much low frequencies. You can be creative, you can add an EQ. I'm just gonna add another filter, but with a high pass now. This technique is really good for layering hi-hats and for making more weight on your rhythmic section. And not to rely too much on samples, to be able to create as many sounds as possible in your own productions. I'll add some velocity to the sustain to give the hi-hat a little bit more expression. I'm just going to take all the low end that it doesn't need with an EQ. Okay, so now let's make the open hat or the offbeat hi-hat. So you don't have to be a genius to know the offbeat goes in the offbeat. So every eighth in between each kick drum, so if the kick drum is 1/4 of the bar, the offbeat goes in between on the eighth. Let's try some other noise from the noise oscillator. Most of the times, I like to use different noises for different percussion sounds. This way, they all have different overtones. This is an open hat, so it should be a little bit open on the sustain, but still needs a transient. This I would just use a high pass really on the filter. And again, you want it like the snare, biting a little bit. So envelope to assign it to the cutoff and get that snap. Notice how I invert the polarity on this filter modulation, holding it with the mouse and dragging it down. Resonance, again, it's optional, pretty much depends on your taste. So you see how you can get really interesting sounds and in a very simple way. And I want to add, most of the times I'll use some sounds that are recorded, some loops, some actual recorded percussions like toms, snares. Depends, I'll layer stuff up. But this is a very good way to just put your own signature to your sound. Now, let's make something fun. Some random percussion. This will be a little bit of experimentation, especially on your part when you try to get everything dialed in. But stay with me until the end. Trust me, it's worth the effort. Let's try to modulate most stuff here with velocity. You'll see the potential because you can use any modulator, but I'll just use velocity. So make a MIDI part and paint some notes in the rhythm that you want. Adjust the velocity on your MIDI notes, so you will get some changes. Attack and sustain on envelope 1 all the way down. It doesn't really matter, but a shorter decay means more control while moving the sustain. So let's use velocity on the sustain, so I will open and close, but let's try it also on the pitch. Groovy. That's pretty interesting already, I think. So let's try this noise oscillator or percussion as an FM source and do some crazy stuff. Remember, any FM source, turn the volume all the way down, and the volume becomes the modulation amount, or in this case, the oscillator A warp. Now we have the voicing of the oscillator. Okay, now you can feel how it's massaging your brain. So now let's try and play with the filter. Now I'll show you several options of how you can tweak this sound and how you can get a different sound or a sound that is moving, which is very important in Psytrance and I feel is important in every genre of music. So that's all for today. I hope you like the show. And if you find this useful and helpful, please like and subscribe. Every subscriber helps, especially with this channel growing. Give us a thumbs up, give us a comment if you have any doubts, and see you next time.